Okay, let's try another start to the stream. We should be better with the audio this time. I'll just check the audio routing. Sometimes my little tool here has some issues, my little sound routing tool. So let me know now that you can hear me. Let's go for a magic keyword. Let's go for water bottle today, just to let me know that that you're hearing. And then we'll be speaking to Greg, who I've already briefly spoken to. He's just getting his ducks in line in terms of what he's going to be bringing up on the stream. And we'll get going. It's a Saturday evening here in the UK. I hope you guys are all well. And I apologise for that minor audio hiccup at the beginning there. It happens now and then. It just depends whether that sound program decides to play ball or not. Just wrapping up my radio mic because I'm going to be using the Rode Podcaster tonight. Not planning on getting up and doing any weird physical acts tonight. So there you go. Water bottle, okay. Perceptual has audio and video. Perceptual, I hope you've been enjoying Sam's update. He's been working on an awesome dialogue system for the RPG. So I think that in all respect, the RPG is going to be much better for Sam having taken it over. Got a weird purple eye thing going on here again tonight. Something to do with how I have these lights on quite yellow. It's doing something really strange in my eyes. But hey, I'd rather that than be kept up all night by white light syndrome. Scort, Alexander, it's good that you love pineapples. Yeah, not entirely sure the relevance, but it's good to know. Always good to know people's culinary preferences. Greg, if you want to dive in on the call, you're very welcome, and we'll start your mentoring session bang on the nose at 8 o'clock. So, or not. Greg may not want to speak to me, of course, but he did speak to me a minute ago. He's probably just getting all his stuff lined up. So guys, those of you who are watching the stream, where in the world are you from and what are you working on right now? I'd love to hear in the chat. Oh, and excuse me having the chat up on the screen. I'm still single monitor. I'm probably going to lower my monitor down, put a second widescreen one above it so I can do chat above. But yeah. Let me know when you're ready to come in, Greg. I'm presuming you're still able to hear me. Should be able to. I've got headphones on so we don't get any feedback issues. Love these things. Bose Quiet Comfort 2s. Yeah, really good. We've actually got 3 pairs of these around the house between everybody. Stop us fighting over them, so they're pretty cool. So Sam has been working on a custom dialogue editor for the Unity RPG. I will give you a link to the Unity RPG. This is part 1. Oh, if I can type straight, I will. That's the problem. You're trying to type with a pen in your hand. Of course, it's not a normal pen with ink in it. This is a slightly chewed Wacom pen that goes on my tablet here, so I can scribble on the screen. Also, thank you for the retreat. No, you're welcome, Perceptual. Well done with your game. It's looking great. So Tio's in Brazil, living in the UK, trying to get some extra mile with Project Boost. Cool. Enjoy that. Bit Gamey, still in Texas. Cool. Brothers Blade, new ninja game. Cool. Love to see some examples of that. Nairobi. Awesome, Alex. Working on game assets. What's the battery life on them, Ben? Oh, on what? On the radio mic, Liz. If you mean the radio mic, then I use rechargeable AA's Anyloop. I love that make. About 12 hours. If you mean this, it doesn't need batteries. This is the pen for the Wacom. Does not need any batteries. The Wacom itself actually has a battery in it, but I never use it like that. I bought a wireless module and a battery. I never use it like that. I just plug it in with a micro USB cable. Okay, so other questions while we wait for Greg. Greg, I presume you are still...
I am here.
Oh, Greg is here. Sorry. Awesome.
Just trying to sound vaguely human.
Yeah, no problem at all, Greg. Good to...
Come in the morning.
Yeah, no worries. Actually, you know what the problem... You know what I do? This is the reason I use... I keep forgetting why I use my... do you like my Super Dad t-shirt, by the way? Super Dad. That's my kids bought me that. I remember why I use my radio mic. It's because I get less... delay. So I'm just going to use the switch to the radio mic for Zoom, and you guys will experience slightly less lip sync issues. So where are we? We need to use the camera for the microphone. Okay, Greg, are you still able to hear me? Should be slightly less lip sync issues now.
Yes, I am.
That is awesome. And that's it. Good. So just to answer Liz's question, the battery life on these Bose headphones is ridiculously long, basically. I've never had a problem. Stated at 13 plus hours or something, but I use them day after day, and I've never, ever had them go flat. So more than enough. Okay, Greg. So if you want to share your screen, we'll get on and help you out.
Excellent. Just give me a sec.
No worries. Excuse me, banging on the mic, just checking it's the right one. What does this say? Super Dad. Let's have a look at this t-shirt while we wait. What have we got? Braver than... Who's that dude? Somebody tell me who the A dude is. Awesome Man or something? Smarter than... Oh, no, I'm not doing well. Who's this dude? Don't know who that dude is. Quicker than Spider-Man, stronger than the Hulk. That's me. I'm not so good with my superheroes. By the looks of it, thought I was better than that. Sure my kids could tell me who all those people are. Okay.
All right.
Just hiding all your private stuff on the screen, I guess, Missy. Connect the
Yeah, sorry. I
no worries.
lost the, minimized the Zoom window and then couldn't find it.
Yeah, no worries. It's always fun sharing full screen. Okay, so yeah, we're ready for you when you're ready. Muzu or Greg is not using video. He's just going to stick with his screen. Now, we're going to be showing this at 720p, so it's going to be rather small. Captain America, Iron Man. Guys, I'm going to hide the chat for a bit. I will catch up with the chat in a bit. I want to focus on Greg for the next 15 minutes. So chat among, 20 minutes. Chat amongst yourselves. I'll be back by past.
Okay, you need me to make the...
Yeah, font
then?
a little bit bigger, yeah, because I'm
streaming.
scaling this stream down to 720 today. That's great, thank you. I'll leave my video quite small, and let's do it.
Okay, all right. Less problems this week and more questions about what Sam's doing in the RPG stream. So the first question I had was, so Sam's created the serialization system for saving of data for the RPG.
Mm-hmm.
With what he's done, I haven't actually tried it yet, but would that work if you're trying to push the information off to an external database as well?
It's the same. So firstly, I should qualify. I can't speak too much for what Sam's doing because I trust him to do what he's doing and I haven't been reviewing his code yet. I'll be reviewing his code at the end before he starts teaching it. So I'm not up to date with his prototype code. But the general process of serialization is the same type of process of sending over the network, is the same type of process of saving to disk. So in simple terms, yes, it's good. You'll be good there. But do tune into Sam's occasional RPG streams, or we'll get him to come on the next Meet the Mentors so that he can answer specific RPG questions moving forward.
That would be ideal, assuming when it is and if I can make it. Okay. And the second question, actually, question is a little bit of a, I don't know if you call it a bug, because I believe it's expected behavior, but just some way around it. So I've started moving away from the way that you'd temporarily implemented the quest system of using game objects to host the quests, and now moved to a scriptable object-based system. Now, this is my scriptable object, and I've got a quest giver, which is one of my custom scripts. However, I can't actually assign any of the objects that have that script attached to them from the inspector.
Yeah, so this was one of the problems I foresaw with doing it with a scriptable object, is that you're going to have trouble attaching a game instance, a runtime instance, to this scriptable object which exists on the disk, because there's no instance in the game. There's no runtime instance of this scriptable object. So okay, so carry on.
So I'm just wondering if there's a better way of doing that, because for instance, I can select an instance of the scriptable object itself from within the assets, but it seems like any of the custom script elements won't actually work that way.
So from an instancing point of view, you've got this scriptable object lives on the disk, right? And then the things you're seeing in the hierarchy there are a kind of a preview of what's going to be instantiated into the game when you hit play, but they're not there in the game yet. So when you hit play, those game objects in your hierarchy will be reinstantiated into the running game, and there's not going to be an easy way for it to connect those two things together. So that's the problem. So you're going to need to invert some dependencies here, and I would urge you I think what we need to do for RPG specific questions is to get Sam on the next stream, because I want him to answer it from the standpoint of what he plans to do with the architecture moving forward. I know he's not turned his attention to this yet, because the first thing he wanted to do was serialization, so that everything we do moving forward is compatible with the serialization and saving. Then he got very excited by custom dialogue. So there are lots and lots of ways we can do this, but because it's an architectural decision, I'm a bit loath to just give you a solution for you then to do yet another U-turn on it. This is, I guess, the danger of following us on the bleeding edge rather than waiting until the course comes out. Having said that, it's great you are doing that, because you're going to learn a lot better.
Yeah, look, I'm not really beholden to what state you end up in, because I don't know if it'll necessarily be the same way that I would be best to go for my style of game. Hence why I've already started moving away from the implementation that you'd done for quests, because I felt that it was going to get too messy having them all as game objects in the scene. Just a slight segue, when you were talking about instantiation of scriptable objects, one of the other things that I've been looking at is items within the RPG. And I stumbled across some code that someone had done for like an item database, which is based off scriptable objects that are stored in the resources folder. And it actually looks at instantiating a scriptable object when you go to get an item, in this case by its item ID. I was doing some reading around the resources folder, and everything I read said that it shouldn't necessarily be used for production use. It should be more for prototyping and things like that. Do you see any issues with constantly instantiating scriptable objects? I suppose is the point I was getting to as a question.
This way, scriptable object.instantiate.
Yes.
One of the things I would do is check the performance of that, and also check and see that there's some sensible way of destroying them when you finish them. So they would be the two things I'd be concerned about to start with: is how slow is instantiating a scriptable object off the disk, and then do you cause memory issues by it being there and maybe never getting tidied up? So what's the life cycle of it? So when you change scenes, you know that all the game objects, unless you've explicitly said that they're going to, with a don't destroy unload attribute, unless you've explicitly said that, then you know that those things are getting cleared up. So they're the two questions I'd want to be answering. How fast is it to instantiate? So you could put them in a loop, with maybe a delay, and see how long they take compared to a normal object to instantiate, and then see what happens when you change scenes, and are they still hanging around?
Yep. Okay.
That'd be my concerns, and a bit more research around the resources folder. Exactly.
Yeah, I'll do some further testing on that. Again, this is just a very early one approach to implementing the way that items should be handled. I'm looking for them to come from a database.
Yeah, so in general terms, do look at Sam's save system, because what you want to be doing, ideally, in theoretical terms, is to be loading the when the game loads, you want to load the information about the quest that is different and changed, i.e., what data, you've got to think about what data you want to save and what data you don't want to save. So the very definition of a quest and all that stuff can be loaded off the disk at any point, but your progress through the quest needs to be something that's savable and serializable back out when you choose to save the game. So you've got to separate out stuff that's worth saving and serializing and stuff that isn't. So some data will come one way off the disk because it will never change because you've designed the quest to be a certain way. And then some data needs to go back to the disk, which is your progress through it.
Yeah.
Don't just blindly save everything. Or also try not to copy that shared data. The stuff that's about the definition of the quest, try not to copy that data if you can help it.
Just the state.
Yeah, just exactly. Just what mutates, or just what changes as you progress through the quest. It'd be tempting to kind of take the whole quest object and then store that, but that's unnecessary, and it's also very confusing because we don't really know what the canonical source of our general quest information is, whether it's what's stored in the quest on the disk, or in the shrink-wrapped game, or whether it's this thing that you've then stored back to the disk. It gets a bit duplicated and confusing. So link rather than duplicate. Link back to the quest, and then just store the state, the differences.
Okay, all right, that makes sense. Yeah, well, what I've currently done with my very basic database implementation is specifically for items, I haven't looked at quests yet, is just store the item ID and the quantity of that item that the character has, rather than trying to store all of the information about the item itself.
Yeah, exactly what I was just saying.
Store
That's a good idea.
the minimal amount of information, so that when you load from the database, you can then say, okay, well, it's item ID 4, and I have 10 of them.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, well, that's pretty much all I had this week.
If you paste other people's code in, I would suggest that you, as soon as you think you're going to use it, do go through and change it to your code style, so that it all feels easily readable.
Yes. I'm not sure how different this is. I brought this in quite a while ago, and I only just came back to it when I was looking at quests.
Yeah, just things like underscore items, which I presume they're using as an instance variable convention.
Yeah,
so those sort of things. Just keep it readable for yourself would be the suggestion. And what database are you using here? Is this a scriptable object-based database?
No, it's actually a MySQL database that I've got hosted externally.
Okay, yeah. All right. Yeah, so again, Sam will be guiding you through the serialization process, but when it comes to saving stuff, the first and simplest way is, can you do with just the player prefs with some sort of wrapper around the player prefs like we did in the 2D Unity course? If player prefs is no good for you, then I would next be looking at scriptable objects. And if you are exceeding the limits of scriptable objects, then you're into proper databases. So that would be the sequence I would go through to decide whether I really need to implement databases on it.
Right. So just on that, if you were looking at the database route, then obviously you'd still need to have some sort of object, be it a scriptable object or a game object, to hold some information about the quest, in the scene itself, or whether or not that's just a script.
It would just be a worker that provides you access to the database. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. I'll make a note of.
But the amount of information you're storing is relatively small, so I would keep a close eye on what Sam's doing with the serialization and ask whether you need the weight of an SQL database. You might, but just bear in mind you've got these other options, including player prefs. But you'll overrun player prefs quite quickly. But there's lots of problems with player prefs. But the advantage is it's platform independent, right? The Unity compiles to code that determines where that player prefs is stored depending on the target platform. And player prefs is a bit of a kind of bucket that you throw data into, and you're not really sure what you sent in there. But if you look at the player prefs manager, for want of a better word, I wish I hadn't called it that, in the Unity course, then we found a way of actually wrapping player prefs and storing data in there. So if you only got knowing what you stored and having some strings all in one place, if you haven't got that much data, then player prefs might be enough for you. But if you've already outgrown that, then sure, go to a database. But just bear in mind you're creating a load of extra work for yourself with the SQL. So
yeah, that's not too much of an issue. I'm pretty comfortable with SQL.
That's cool. If you're comfortable with it, exactly, then it's an easy go-to for you. So
yeah, and it just makes it easier when you're looking at I'm looking at the online elements.
Are you making an online game? Are you?
Yeah, certain elements are going to be online.
Cool.
So essentially, it's going to be primarily a single-player game, but there's going to be some group-type content that you will be able to do with up to 3 others.
Nice.
So it's not an MMO style; it's a sort of a limited multiplayer online game that is predominantly single-player for the majority of it. So.
Cool, Greg. Awesome.
Anyway, that's all
today? You say, yeah, you said it's all. I don't want to
today.
keep you on the line if you don't need to be, but I will be checking the chat in a minute. So awesome. Good luck with it. Well, just give people a quick overview of your game just before you go, so we know what to watch out for. What's the basic idea?
Oh, look, it's based on proper, and I say proper because there's a lot of uh, Norse mythology essentially is what my game will be based on. But it's as I said, true Norse mythology, not what you see coming from Marvel. So there's a lot of things that people won't have seen before. But there's so much information out there that there's a lot of content that's readily able to be um, tapped there, and it's all in the public domain. So there's no issues with copyright.
Yeah, cool.
So essentially, it's a mostly single player RPG with some group type elements for more difficult content.
Cool. Good luck. I'm really interested to see the progress as you go through it.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll be sharing as it gets to a point. I've got about a month before I go away for a month, and by that time I've committed to some close friends and family that there will be something to test.
Oh, cool.
It'll just be basic combat and the questing system.
Nice. Nothing
yeah,
like the power of an external commitment. Well done with that. So.
Exactly.
And now you've told everybody on the stream as well, Greg. So there you go. All right. So if there are any other mentees or proteges, as I think we're calling you for want of a smarter word, then please dive into Zoom. They'd be welcome to take your slot. Now it's 20 past. We go 20 minutes each per session. First come, first served. And I've caught up with the chat. I won't read it all out. You guys can read the chat for yourself. Perceptual saying, can we see a little of the gameplay? That would be up to Greg. If you'd like to share a little bit of the gameplay, that would be great. I was actually going to suggest that, so I don't know how much gameplay you have.
Maybe next time. It's still very, very ugly in terms of it's using a lot of the placeholder models that were in the first part of the RPG course.
Okay, so you want to buff it up a little bit before you show it off publicly, yeah?
Yeah, look, and all of my testing level is on a flat plane at the moment. So in the next week or two, I'm going to be making the demo level. Not being a modeler or designer of any type, I've invested in Gaia and Vegetation Studio, which work very well together, to make a decent looking terrain with trees and everything. So yeah, maybe in a couple of weeks, definitely before I go away, I'd be more than happy to jump on and show people where I'm up to.
Awesome, that'd be cool, and that might mark the beginning of us doing some regular student showcase streams, which I think people would like. Although I need to balance streaming against keeping myself locked away creating new content. So, all right, thanks, Greg. Great to chat with you again. Sorry to keep getting up so early. We'll try and push these as late as possible. It's already It's already 8 p.m. on a weekend for me, but I will try and push them as late as possible. And yeah, see you on the next one.
All right, thank you.
Take care, Greg. So that was Greg pushing ahead awesomely with his RPG. So any other questions in the chat before we wait for a second person? If there's nobody else here by 1:30, then I will stop the stream and we'll wait for the next one so I can go off and focus on my next project. Yeah, exactly. So Perceptual saying that those people on the stream would be very forgiving of the fact that it's all placeholder assets. So would we make an Affinity Designer or GIMP to create 2D images? Well, probably if you don't mind spending a few dollars a month, go for Photoshop. GIMP's also very powerful if you don't mind learning it. I have no experience with Affinity Designer. I've been playing recently myself with something completely different. I've been using on the iPad SHAPR 3D, this thing. If anybody's got an iPad iPad Pro, then this thing is a 3D modeling tool. iPad Pro only, but it's awesome. It's really quite cool. It kind of just works with the pen beautifully, and we've been modeling up all sorts of stuff for the house. So pretty cool. Look at that. It just make stuff. And then you could even use this for models in your games. It's got no textures or anything like that, but the way that the constraints work, it's a bit like SolidWorks for the iPad. It's yeah, you can lose yourself in the moment and just design. Kind of true. I'm really finding it pretty cool. So anyway, that's Shaper 3D for what it's worth. So yeah, it's cool that you guys are making connections. Perceptual and Muzu, welcome together. Brian, I wonder what your retracted message was. I hope it wasn't anything too scary. Always, it's like good marketing, that a retracted message. It's like, oh, what did he say there? Awesome. So it looks like I'm going to give it 3 or 4 more minutes. If nobody else pops on for the second slot, then we'll leave it for the day. Then I can go off and focus on studying my progressive web app course that I'm, creating the progressive web app course. Found a way for you guys to get apps onto mobile without needing to mess around with App Store's Xcode or Android Studio. And that is making a progressive web app, a mobile, basically a website, a game in a website. And I'm looking at all the options there because I want to show you guys how to get things to mobile as quickly as possible, as well as serve the very wide need of knowing how to make webs. So, Brian, did we drop Twitch? No, not drop it. What I'm trialing is YouTube. I'm trialing YouTube for a little while. Twitch is great, but it had some significant, I keep answering this question, it had some significant disadvantages, like the videos were being deleted after 60 days. There's no auto transcript that's easily searchable by you guys. The events page doesn't work on mobile. So for the moment, I'm just going for YouTube, which I'm liking. Actually, it's working very well, and we will decide at the end of August what we do. Yeah, Craigie, can I give you a sneak peek of what we're doing right now? I can. It would be better if I had my mobile, so I will go get my mobile and come back and just show you. Yeah, oh sure. Give me a second. Okay, here we go. So I can share my screen and show you what I'm up to. I'd be delighted to show you what I'm up to. Get some headphones on. Let's take a little look. I've got a cable here. I can share what's on my phone. Just need to move this app. So, and I can show you what's going on. Just make sure my phone's on Don't Disturb and then connect it to the computer. I'll be with you. Yeah, so what I'm doing is I'm working in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. In fact, we've got a project here somewhere, introduction. And I can share what I've got and make it a little bit bigger. And what we're talking about is progressive web apps. So you can look that up, just Google for progressive web apps. And what I'm doing is trying to show you how to get a website to run on a mobile as if it's a native app. So the first app in the upcoming course, which will be kickstarting in the next few weeks, is going to be a quote-based app. So there's the icon for it. It's called Quotesy. This is a cute little guy called Quotesy. And it's very simple. It just shows you a clock and a quote, one of a random set of quotes, and it has a very simple piece of JavaScript here that shows you one of these kind of inspirational quotes. So let me show you it working on an actual device, and you'll see how app-like this is. And now it's even better on Android. I can't as easily show you on Android, but you guys can go to this domain. So if you're on Android or iPhone, go here, GameDev.tv / Quotesy like that. That may not resolve. So https gdev.tv / Quotesy like footsie. There you go. That one will work. And if you go there, what you'll get is the following. Let's show you the output first, both on desktop and on mobile. Very, very simple, right? It's just a page. And the text rescales a little bit, and it says the time. And every 30 seconds, that will switch to a different piece of text. Now, this is just a super beginner project. But what's special about these things is how they operate on mobile. Let me see if I can work out which buttons to press to share my screen. I should be able to. It's not not rocket science, is it? Let's have a go. Share iPhone by a cable. Just need to let it come up and say, hey, trust this computer. See, there you go. 1 second, won't be long. Come on then. Resume share. Any minute now we'll have my iPhone screen up on the screen. Honest Gov. Apart from it's not working. Let's try again. Come on. It's a little bit flaky doing this. Well, it's normally only flaky doing this when I'm live. I guess that's the nature of live things. Stop share. Try it once more. It's really worth seeing the screen. But anyway, you guys can go to that site. Really, really simple app, but I want to just explain the benefits. But I'd rather do it with it on the screen so you can actually see it. Come on, dude. If it doesn't work, I'll just talk you through it. Here you go. There's my iPad screen with my wife in the background. So what happens is if you go in Safari on an iPhone or Chrome on an Android device to a website that is a progressive web app like GameDev.tv/Quotesy, what happens on Android is within a few seconds it pops up and says, hey, do you want to add this to your home screen? Now on iPhone it doesn't do that, but if you do add it to your home screen from Safari, then this is what happens. The app opens very quickly and it completely hides the fact that it's a browser. I can't pan or zoom or scroll. All of that's disabled and it just feels like an app. If I go into the app switcher, you see it's a first-class process. You see here it says Quotesy. It's got its own actual process. It's not just an instance of Safari. Also, it'll work offline, although my app I don't think works offline right now, but something like mobile.twitter.com will, or app.ft.com, these things are actually websites. This is not a native app, which means you get the reach of a website, which is 5 billion devices out there on the internet, without needing to go through the App Store, without needing a Mac to ship to iOS, and without needing any knowledge of Android Studio. So the disadvantage is that Unity web builds aren't currently good enough to be performant on a mobile, but Unity is not the only way of making a game or an app, right? You can do this using JavaScript, using other frameworks. So you get the reach of web, which is much, much bigger than the app stores, with the engagement of apps. You can get push notifications on Android, not on iOS yet. You can get offline access. It's fast. It's using a web stack. And it's a pretty cool way of getting your creation out to the world just through a website. So that's what we're working on at the moment. So, a couple of other questions here. Brian Scott. Okay, so Operation Gamma. My interest in Google Protocol buffers was because I was next going to be working on an AI course, but it just doesn't feel like the right timing. We need to get some beginner Python content under our belt before we start talking about AI. It's a real disconnect to say to you guys or any new communities, hey, we want to teach you reinforcement learning, but it's beginner. It's not beginner. You need to know some Python. So that was used for connecting a running game process like a Unity process to a Python process. I got it working, but I'm not going to be using it at the moment. So yes, we still have a GIMP course available. It's a very basic GIMP course, but it's a very good introduction to GIMP. There's the link for it. Thank you very much for that, Musi. Sorry, whoever said that. BitGamey. Liz, by the way, Ben, you know when you put your radio mic on, odd, then the sound varies with how close you are to the desk mic. Odd, then the sound varies. Well, I should be on the radio mic right now. You know what? It's because there's two different sources here. The way that you're getting my audio is this way. So there you go. Now you're actually hearing me through the radio mic. So that's because I'd set up the radio mic for Zoom, but not for the sound routing to you guys. So that's, Liz, what's going on there. Good point. The next gaming stream, Cragged, I'm not sure. This weekend's been hijacked by the fact I've got a party, at a kind of summer party. We will do another one shortly, and we'll announce it on our events page. The only currently next scheduled stream is the next Meet the Mentors, which is on the YouTube page. You lose some of the advantages of discoverability, but you don't lose 30% of sales. Yeah, look, BitGamey, imagine this. I'm sitting at a bus stop playing a hyper-casual game, yeah, something really simple, kind of cool. Imagine a version of Block Breaker or Laser Defender or something like that. And I'm on my phone playing this game, right, at just like laserdefender.com. Or No, let's not do the rude version. LaserDefender.com, which doesn't exist. Or might exist, but it's not our game. And you're playing that game. Now, what you could do with one of these PWAs, a progressive web app, a game web app, is you could pause the game, bring up a QR code, and somebody else, you could say to the guy at the bus stop next to you, hey, just go to, mygame.com. One of the options could be scan a QR code. He could scan the QR code of your phone without even knowing anything about that person, no installation, nothing, and they could be playing with you in the same session straight away because the QR code could encode the game session. It's a streaming app, right? It's an app without having to go to the App Store, without having to pay Apple or Google 30% of your sales. You lose some discovery in the App Store, but I think it will be made up through virality. What I'm going to be teaching in this course is how to make your app beautiful from the word go. Think about the icon, the proposition, the shareability. And I think that the low friction of just being able to say, hey, go to mygame.com, whatever mygame.com is, and immediately start playing. That engagement is just awesome. No downloads, no nothing. Now, of course, you have to take payment yourself. But again, another thing that we've got web payments APIs now. So on an iPhone, you can pay with Apple Pay through a web payment API, Android Pay on the Android. So yeah, I think it's cool. Python, yeah, good language. I'm not sure it's the easiest language to learn because it's a higher level. It's quite a high level language. It's quite a chunked language. Anyway, so that's what I am working on, is getting the first 2 or 3 prototypes ready. And then I'm going to show the world how to take their apps out there without all the... Because I've been banging my head against the wall. You guys are saying, oh, can you show us how to go to mobile? Well, I can. But it's another whole... You can see, by the way, I'm like sticking my head in my hands. It's another whole world of pain to get and maintain a code base on Android and iOS, unless you're using something like Unity. Now, in the terms of games, which is you guys, and mainly games, not as bad, right? Because games don't expect to have a website, and you have tools like Unity that are cross-platform iOS, Android. So you only need a certain amount of knowledge of iOS and Android in order to get those working. But for apps, it's a real pain because you nearly always need some sort of website, and you've got to maintain an iOS code base and an Android code base, and the advantages of native are nearly all gone now. You can access accelerometers. You can try paperplanes.com. I think it's paperplanes.com. Look up paperplanes. That does not feel like a website, but it is, and it'll add to your home screen. It uses the accelerometer. It's a load of fun. You can do everything apart from AR, basically, at the moment on Android. On iOS. So it's pretty cool. So was I ever a pure C programmer? So let's go back. What's your opinion on var like in C#? Var or auto, I like personally. I actually just, because you don't have to type as much. If you don't type, you don't have to type. It's still just as, we had a whole discussion about this, and it's on the YouTube channel. Just take up var or auto in the YouTube channel. You'll find it. Sam and I had a big discussion, but I prefer doing a type inference like that, particularly in a strongly typed language. It's the same. It's just as safe. It just means less messing around on the keyboard. So any idea on the launch date of the Progressive Web Apps Kickstarter? No, not yet. I'm glad you're interested. It's going to be huge. It's just mind-boggling that you can make something that that overnight almost could be out, could go like wildfire. If you're using all the latest technologies, then and serverless as well, we can go down the AWS Lambda route. You could in your bedroom make up a service that captures people's imagination. If you give it a good name, you've got a good icon, you've got a great user experience. That could go fast. That could really move fast, and you can iterate and try your ideas and get it out there and see how it goes in a really fast. Like I'm talking about getting things out in days and trying it. And you'd be better off coming up with 30 ideas over 30 days, almost literally. Now, maybe that's an exaggeration, but almost literally 30 ideas over 30 days to try and find one that sticks, and then focus on that and build it out. Then spending weeks or months building one idea that may or may not take off. So this is a way of iterating fast. I don't know when the Kickstarter will be. I think it'll be in September. I was never a pure C programmer, but I have written compilers and done electronics down to the NAND gates and things. So, do I have any plans for a 2D, 3D game creation optimization for mobile devices, including blah, blah, reward ads? No, we're not too into teaching people, Preetham, how to do ad-based games at the moment. But for hyper-casual stuff, I think that the progressive web apps is going to be a really interesting way to go. So it's just another angle on game development for you guys. So we're looking at various frameworks that tie in with Blender. In fact, I was just talking to Mikey earlier. Let me find the framework so you can look it up. Give me just 2 seconds. If my phone will respond. Verge 3D. JavaScript-based plugin for Blender, which lets you put things like product configurators and 3D models onto websites. Yeah, learn to love var and learn when it's not appropriate to use, says Operation Gamma. Yeah, I mean, you can't use it in instance variable for a start. So awesome. All right, well, look, it's getting a bit late. I've got bright lights shining in my eyes. I've been to the gym today, so I'm a bit knackered. You told me who these guys were. I think it was Awesome Man, and I'm going to scroll up and see who these superheroes were. So remind me again, who's the blue dude? It's got to be Awesome Man, surely. I don't think I've seen anything with Awesome Man in it. Where was this? Captain. Is this Captain America, the blue dude? I didn't know if he was that blue. Maybe it is. And then who's the other one? Oh, that's Iron Man. Okay, they just look quite different to the comics. Of course it's Iron Man, obviously. Captain America, Iron Man, Spider-Man, and Hulk. All right, I really need to go swat up on my Marvel superheroes. In fact, there might be time tonight to watch the Age of Ultron. Haven't all the Marvel films been amazing recently? I've been really amazed. You guys keep asking me questions. If I'm reading the next MTM stream right, it's in 3 days and an hour earlier. Yes, that sounds right, Musu. Yeah, oh dear, an hour earlier is no good for you, is it? Well, look, if you can't make that one, I promise you I'll make the one after that even later. Any more news on Mikey's Environments course? Yeah, Big Gamey, it's well in production. Awesome. I don't know if you've seen the teasers that are going out on social media as to what Mikey's doing with the Environments course, but it is looking good. It's with the lifetime members right now, and it's really going to show you how to make mood in your environments and your games. So yeah, keep an eye out. It will be launching next month. Good point on doing some quick casual games, possibly fund your huge dream project. Exactly, Perceptual. The idea here is most of you guys are using Unity or Unreal or Godot, and you really, it's a 2 or 3 man or 4 man job to do a really good job there, right? You really need at least 3 guys, somebody doing the art and the story and all that, somebody doing the dev, and then somebody doing the business and marketing. But you can't afford to pay those guys. So it would be great if we could get you to the point where you can start making some actual money from your hyper casual experiences, really simple, hyper casual, easily spread experiences without all the hassle and delays of going through App Store certification and paying people 30% and all the rest of it. And plus it will make you a better marketer, because without the support of the App Store, by the way, the support, the discoverability on the App Store, it's not what it used to be. When there were only a handful of apps, it was great to be on the App Store. Now there are literally millions of apps, and it's very, very easy to get lost. It's almost as easy to stand up on the web in some ways because of the speed that you can transmit the idea and start playing a game. Blue dude is Captain America, yellow face is Iron Man. Yeah, I can see that now. DC's better than Marvel. Yeah, maybe. And the latest film is fantastic. Cool. Yeah. Not true. One person could do it just as well. It might take longer. Yeah, one person can do great, Craigid, but you've got to pick the tools and the size of the game. There's lots of amazing things done by one person, and that's the dream, and that would be the dream for me as well if you're multi-talented. But just make sure that it's right for you to be one person. You might feel differently when you've got the money, the funds to help, to employ other people to help, you know, if you find the right people and really trust them. So it's a bit of introspection. Yeah, 2 guys. Yeah, there's lots of great examples. There's a handful of outlier examples of games made by 1 or 2 people. Yeah. So yeah, 1,000 new games a month on the App Store. What we want is this sort of thing. Now, let me just find this website. Learn. Let me just find this. It gives you an example of how quickly you can just get into something. Now, I think it was... Which website? Is it this one? No. Well, these are examples of code pens, but I found a beautiful site the other day that just immediately, no, it wasn't that either. If I can't find it, I'll give it to you in a future stream. Basically, it was a website that the moment you arrive at it, just starts asking you to code, basically. That'd be great for game development as well, right? Imagine you landed a website. No, I can't find it right now. And it might be javascript.com. It might be as simple as that. Yeah, here it is. So imagine you go, want to try game development? You know, just type Jamie. So, or, you know, and then there's no like selling. This is low friction. It's like, oh, cool. Well, I did that. And then, you know, press enter to submit commands. What's happening here? And you see, I'm coding, right? And then if I enjoy what I'm doing, I'm going to want to save my progress, at which point I'm going to want to sign in. And it's just that super low friction. I love the idea of that super low friction, really easy engagement. So Yeah, not working well with others is fine, Craig. Then play to your strengths. You don't need to. I'm just saying it would be great if we could get you a way of getting stuff out there fast, and fail fast is the idea. Because you may have an idea that you're in love with, but other people have got to fall in love with it too. So it's like iterate fast, fail fast. Will this stream be uploaded to YouTube? Yes, absolutely, Preetham. The stream, within 10 minutes of it finishing, it will be available on YouTube forever. One of the other benefits of YouTube over Twitch at the moment. Cool. All right, nice stream. Thank you very much for being here, everybody, and I will see you on the next one. I may step streaming back up again. I'm very aware we were streaming like mad on Twitch, giving it what it needed, and not doing quite as much here on YouTube. But we've got to also bear in mind, every minute I'm streaming and preparing for streaming and doing the aftermath of streaming, I'm not making courses, and I haven't shipped a lot of course content recently, and it's quite important I do because, well, I like shipping courses, and you guys seem to like the courses. So. All right, I'm going to start heading off. I'm going to head off, and great to see you guys. Enjoy. You can keep chatting amongst yourselves on the chat, or remember that you can go to various other places that we've got that you probably know all about. I'll just share them here in case. There's the forum, thriving community forum. Get in there. There are all of our courses listed right there. This is our Discord live chat server. There's probably 3,000 people online live right now. And if you want to hear about what I'm doing next, go to Kickstarter and follow me, and then you will find out. So... yeah, I pronounced your name. I don't know whether I pronounced it right, but I pronounced it. All right, cool. Thank you for being here, everybody. And I will see you on the next one. Take care and be cool. This is me leaning forward to turn the stream off. Excuse the purple eyes. It's something to do with the lighting. Anyway, bye-bye. I'm going to do nothing for a few seconds because apparently when I end the broadcast, Anyway, bye.